My name is Susana Asberry.
I want to hear a little bit more about your childhood and kind of what connection you had, because you escaped what was then Czechoslovakia.
Right. During this regime, my mom was not able to exercise any critical thinking or any freedom of speech. She had to teach and say and do what the communists ordered. Basically, the textbooks, everything was controlled, and religion was forbidden, or any kind of viewpoints or opinions. So my mother and we escaped from. My mother did that for us, for me and my sister, so we can have the freedom of religion, we can have the freedom of speech, and freedom to exercise who we are.
Tell me what happened then in 2015.
Well, in 2015, I might add that this complaint came after I failed this student. And before that, I didn't feel or sense any issues with this student. So she filed a complaint that I made her environment unsafe because I used the word God too much in class. And that is when I was summoned by my director and the HR to a formal meeting.
Okay. And tell me what happened then.
Well, in this meeting, basically, they read to me what the students, what her complaint was, which it was very exaggerated to make her case, I suppose. And one thing that stuck out was because there was a teaching lesson on a bucket list, and that was in my listening speaking textbook, and I had the students write down what's on their bucket list. And that was during this time a student, of course, wanted to know in front of the entire class, "Teacher, what is on your bucket list?" And of course, who I am, and my reply was, I want to tell people about God. That would be like number one on my bucket list. That was it. So he asked me a strange question. Do you read your Bible on campus? And I was taken back. I was a little bit confused by this question. Why would he ask me this? So that was very uncomfortable. Of course, I told him I read my Bible, not in class, of course, but I do read my Bible during my breaks or in my car or outside. But the result of this whole meeting, HR was involved. It was very serious. It was horrifying. This meeting was very scary and frightening. I was issued a formal letter that was supposed to be put in my file, my personal employee file. Basically, they pointed out that I had violated the Executive Order 31, which is a discrimination. Are you familiar with this order?
Within the University of Washington?
Yes.
I'm not,
yes.
no.
It is an order that, you cannot discriminate, harass anybody because of religion, race, gender, age, marital status. So they pointed out that I had violated that.
How did they say that you had violated that? What specifically had you done that they determined to be discrimination or harassment?
Because I talked about religion, because I talked about God. The union ended up fighting this, and supposedly this formal letter was determined not to put in my file, but I feel that they are still holding this against me. There are different rhetorical styles we have to teach, but one is the argumentative, which is opinion writing. Yes. And in this class, I had my students come up with hot topics. So there were many topics on the board, like guns, illegal immigration, and gay marriage was one of them. And then in this type of teaching, I was trying to explain to students that when you write an argument, you have to choose a side. However, you need to write opposing view, and I explained to them why the opposing view, why you have to write about the other side of your opinion is important to make the essay a real good academic essay, to show that you are aware of the other side, that you are not a bigot, that you are tolerant, and that you have an open mind and critical thinking. Soon after, maybe 3 weeks later, the end of October, a Chinese student filed a formal complaint claiming that I made her environment unsafe and uncomfortable.
And what was the basis of the complaint, that you had made her unsafe and uncomfortable?
The complaint was that I hate homosexuals, that I made her uncomfortable because, I guess she is gay, and that made her feel uncomfortable by using these examples.
Was that based on things that you had specifically said in the class to her or to others, or was it just merely the fact that you were having a conversation about gay marriage?
Yeah, I never said anything to her, and I didn't even know that she was gay. I figured it out later, but no, never directly to anybody. And during this class, nobody seemed to be concerned or complained, or it was a discussion. It was a regular teaching lesson.
And so how was that complaint received by the university?
Well, immediately I got an email again. It was déjà vu all over again from my director.
Was this the same director?
Yes, same director. And basically, Susana, there is a formal investigation on you because of an incident in your classroom that occurred blah 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 on this date, and we will contact you. Basically, we will contact you and we summon you to a formal meeting, including the HR. Well, at this meeting, I invited my union because I knew I needed some kind of representation, and that is my right. Again, my director was there, the HR, and my union rep, and they basically read what the students' complaint was and what the investigation was about. And I want to point out that during that investigation, soon after the email came in, another student, supposedly, this is what my director told me, came in, which is a good friend of this first complaint student who is gay, came in voluntarily, supposedly, and made similar charges that I am against homosexual, and then she added that I am also a racist.
How do you feel about the accusation that you are also racist?
Ridiculous, outrageous, because my husband is black and my 2 children are biracial, so I thought that was ridiculous. They were just trying to build up a case, these 2 students. They were good friends. And during this meeting, I asked my director whether or not he interviewed my whole class. Was it just because, according to his email, he had an investigation on me, and to me, investigation is investigate. But surprisingly, he only talked to these 2 students, not my whole class, not anybody else. So I asked him during that meeting, why do you believe these 2 students? And he said to me, based on what I know about you and based what other colleagues and the teachers say about you, I believe those 2 students. These were his words.
And what do you take that to mean?
Well, I read it as, based on knowing that you're a Christian, I believe you are a homophobic hater and a racist. I was silenced. I was stunned. We had several meetings thereafter, okay? So he asked me if I am against gay marriage. And that was another question that I was just floored. I was just so speechless, but I did answer him. I said, I'm not against anybody. I'm not against anybody. That was my response.
So what has been the result of the more recent investigation?
This 2017?
Yes.
Well, I was again issued a formal letter, but this time it is a formal final warning letter telling me basically that I'm not guaranteed employment at the University of Washington, but I feel like I'm singled out. This particular treatment by this university made me feel as if I were my mother. I felt like I was in my mother's shoes, sitting in a room with a bunch of Soviets and communism telling me what I can and cannot do in my class.
Do you think that's an accurate description of the environment that you're operating in now?
Yes, I feel it is coming to that, and it's really frightening.